It is not a zero down situation. Have money, it's going to cost money. So,
And a lot of it, most of the time.
yes.
Thank y'all for joining the Twincast. It's the podcast where business and faith are our foundation and a good laugh is always on the house. We're identical twin sisters navigating the real estate world one deal at a time. The Twincast starts now. I'm Cherie, your go-to lender, helping you with all things finance.
And I'm Nicole, your favorite realtor, helping you find the perfect place to call home. And if you're just now joining us, here's a few things that you should know. We're top 1% in our field.
We have over a decade of experience in our field.
And with our unique twin dynamic, we offer our clients an undeniable edge.
This translates to huge monetary savings through stronger negotiations and smarter financing strategies.
Okay, so what's our hot topic?
Foreclosures. Is it a good deal or is it risky business?
Dun, dun, dun. It can definitely be risky business, but I think what's important with foreclosures, we have lots of clients that called, and that's where they started. Hey, I seen this great deal. I think it's a great deal. I want to buy a foreclosure. What do I do? So, it can be risky business, but setting an expectation and knowing what you're getting into is paramount.
Yeah, it's key because we need to talk about what kind of money you have set aside for this process. Do you have reserves set aside? Do you know how much contractors are going to cost for roof issues, painting, all these different things that can come up? What are you really getting into? And that's foreclosures are HGTVs like excitement and glitz and glam, and everybody thinks they're getting a steal of a deal. But when you start adding in cost and things that are not accounted for, when you hear about a foreclosure that the average buyer hears, then that's when the real good, bad, and ugly comes out.
So I think the first thing to understand about a foreclosure is it is not a zero down situation.
Have money,
It's going to cost money. So,
and a lot of it, most of the time.
yes. And if you're a first time home buyer, I typically tell my clients, first time home buyers want to go into something that's move-in ready, where you're not having to stress out of having to repair something at a major cost. So consider that it is not at zero down. Foreclosures do not pay your closing cost. So right now we are in a in a buyer's market. So sellers are paying closing costs. Foreclosures, that does not matter. They are not paying that. So as a first time home buyer, anytime you're purchasing a foreclosure, closing cost wise, what should they expect?
I mean, $8,000 to $10,000 I would set aside for your closing costs, because in addition to closing costs, they don't pay title policy, and sometimes there's a survey that's going to be needed that may or they may not have. So we definitely need to prepare for those expenses. So title policy is an additional expense. Surveys are additional expense. We will try to find the survey. A lot of times they do have those somewhere that we can dig up, but again, the reserves are what you need to account for. So even if, I mean, in this economy, a lot of people don't have money just laying around to throw at fixing a roof, and a roof is $20,000. So it's a lot of money. Maybe it's something that you can look past, and if it comes up later, but understand that it could be an issue that needs to happen right now. When it's a foreclosure, typically that property is as is. And when they say as is, it is as is. That means no repairs. And even if it's a lender required repair, because sometimes we can, jump into that category of, okay, well, in order to get a loan, we have to get this repaired. The bank says, I do not care.
They do not care. So if you do, like other purchases, you could have a lender required repair, such as a broken window. On a foreclosure, that's not going to be something that the seller is going to repair. Typically, that would be at a seller's expense to fix the window. This would be a cost to the buyer. So you would need to prepare for that as well.
All the expenses prepared for. So we recently helped a buyer buy a foreclosure, and we had the initial talk with them just to make sure that they're
But I think that's important.
of course.
Have the talk. I mean, we have to go through, if you're thinking about buying a foreclosure, if it's crossed your mind and you want to know more about it, call us and talk to us about the process of doing that, because it's definitely, it can be a great deal. we just need to talk through the scenario.
Yeah, you have to have the talk with your real estate agent and with your lender to understand the type of financing strategies that are available to you, to understand what the loan type that you're going to get will require. Are they going to require peeling paint to be fixed? Are they going to require a roof or broken window? Some loan types don't have as stringent requirements, so it does matter,
The
especially.
conversation matters.
Yeah, of course. We have to talk about all the strategies. And if you don't fit into the box of getting a foreclosure, doesn't mean that you don't get a deal. We can still find you a
We
deal.
can find you a deal all day long.
Of course, we can definitely find you a deal, but we want to find a deal that makes sense for you right now, and not later on after you're, paid for an appraisal. It's
After it
500.
costs you money. We
Yes.
don't want to do that. We want to know the expectation. We want to know what the goal is, and that way we can navigate through that. And that's what happened with our recent client. He gave us an idea of what he wanted, where he was going, and actually the what he started off wanting, it changed. And this was something that we came back to, was the foreclosure, after we reassess things, and it worked out perfectly. He walked into the property with equity, but we understood, and we set the expectation up front. A foreclosure is as is. So he had the reserves, he had the funds in case repairs were required. He knew that we wouldn't be able to get repairs done by the seller. So he was prepared, and it worked out.
Yeah, and in addition to him knowing all those kind of expenses, we put him in contact with contractors that were able to do the repairs that he wanted. Some of the repairs were preference, not required. So if you want to get paint and things like that, maybe you can paint yourself. Sweat equity matters. If you can do the work, that may save you. So also that, account for that. If you're an investor, and you have those contractors, that how much they will charge you for those types of things, that's great. But if you are a first time home buyer, or if you're a person that, just doesn't have that additional money to put into the property, don't believe HGTV right now. Don't believe all the, foreclosure hype, because it could be risky business, and we don't like risky. I mean, I've never been to, okay, I used to say, could be able to say that. I can't say that. I've been to Las Vegas now twice, but I have not gambled. I don't like gambling. I don't like losing money. I don't care. I can't do it.
And we're not gambling on real estate.
No, we can't, and not with your money either. I don't gamble with your money either. So, like we said, the home inspections, those require, money up front, appraisal up front. We don't want you to go into buying a foreclosure and then find out, well, I thought I was going to get, this great deal. And then you find out, well, not actually. It's not, because you don't have the additional money to put into the repairs that are going to be needed. And so you just really have to have the conversation of when it makes sense and when it doesn't make sense. And if it don't make sense, just walk
If
away.
it don't make money, it don't make sense.
Right. And we will figure that out for you, and we'll break it down so that it
I mean,
makes.
it's part of that too, is doing that CMA, is knowing what that property is really worth. Once some things are done cosmetically to it, or even, that aren't cosmetic, that are more important, going in there, making sure that the value of the house, we got a great deal on the property. Like I said, but we had the expectation that he had the money. He knew that part of it. But I wouldn't have presented it back to my client had I not done the research first. I wanted to make sure the value of the home was there. Definitely over value, and he's walking, like I said, with equity. But that was also important, was making sure the value of the home was there.
Long term, short term, what are we buying this house for? That conversation needs to happen, because those are very different scenarios. Short term, are we going to flip this house, and can I immediately turn around and sell it? For investors, that may be a situation. And then if you're going to keep it long term, I plan to rent it out later on. So those conversations, sometimes it makes sense to, continue the process and buying it. Sometimes you walk away and say, hey, it just doesn't make sense. It's a risk.
Yeah, and I ran by every scenario with my client, to make sure it made sense. Whether he stayed in there a little bit longer, if he could rent it, I just wanted to make sure that it made sense, because at the end of the day, when he gets ready to sell that house, I want him to call me and say, "Hey, Nicole, I'm ready to sell it." And I want to help him with it. I want to make sure that he's set up in a good area. He has a great expectation. I'll be able to sell his house if we need to. So whichever scenario, it would work. So.
They have all the info.
Yeah.
It's an informed decision. What makes consumers feel more comfortable, makes you feel less antsy, less concerned about the purchase, and you can move through it. I mean, we're closing, I think, in about 30 days. I mean, a lot of times people think that foreclosures take longer time to process. They really don't if you set up the expectations, if you have the contractors on standby, if you have the right
We
people.
had these people on lock. We
Yeah.
had painters, we had roofers, we had everything phone call away. I
Yeah.
mean, and they're able to get in there to get and that was important for him too. His timeline. He wanted to get down here to Texas, and he's not even here. So that was another thing that I actually wouldn't say it threw a wrench in it. I think it made him because he was able to reach out just to us. He didn't have to make phone calls to painters or roofers or electricians. He didn't plumbers, none of that. We were able to facilitate that for him, and he could sit back in
Yeah.
the other state that he's at and just worry about selling his home, and we got his house over here taken care of.
Well, keep telling you guys, aces in places. And so we have the aces in the right places, and that matters to you as a consumer because timeline matters, especially in foreclosures. And they don't give you a lot of time to do inspections. They don't give you a lot of time to get things done. It has to make sense for the bank, and that's it. I mean, it just
Period.
matters to them. I mean, honestly, they don't care about anything else. So if the money makes sense to them, and because in this case, they did allow if the buyer wanted to roll in closing costs, they could roll in closing costs, but it was, it's being financed. So it saved the buyer from having to pay money up front if they wanted to, so if they wanted to do repairs
But
with,
would have the catch there is it had to appraise
right.
for that. So in the event it just meets value and you don't have that additional funds, then you're not able
Yeah.
to purchase. Then you're just having to come up with 8 or 9 thousand. In this situation, it did, and he could, but that's not in every scenario.
Right.
So
The CMA matters. So when you talk about buying a foreclosure, the very next question is, do I have enough money to do this? And what does the CMA say? And that's what your real estate agent should be giving you. And if they're not presenting those few questions up front, then they're not working for you, and you're about to get into risky business.
and we don't do risky business here.
We said that. So no risky
No.
business.
So if you like today's episode, like, subscribe, or share.
Yes. And if you would like to be on the show, send us a DM. And until next time, keep dreaming big, planning smart, and remember, with the right team, you hold the keys.